Go downstairs. Let's take a look at. We've got ourselves some rim joists. We don't yet have some insulation in this basement, but it's coming. So we've got ourselves a knee wall here where, oh, look at that. Yeah, so typically with framing like this, you're gonna have sheets of insulation 2x6 here, so we can fit the R22 in this pretty nicely. It's 16 on center, and here are some of the tough spots to insulate right about in this rim joist here. This one that's parallel. Usually the best way to do these things is spray foam, but sometimes they put the bats, but you can see how part of the framing is resting on this double plate 2x6, and therefore it's not a full R22 that you can fit in there with sheets of insulation. And these are always like the tough spots to insulate right in this corner. So always important right here, right beside a heat duct, to get those nicely done. Right around some wires, that's always tough, because if you're splitting the sheet of insulation here, the sheet of insulation is not the strongest when it comes to like resisting the vertical flow of heat, right? It's more designed for sort of like a perpendicular transfer of heat. So if heat's trying to go through where the sheet is facing, right, the top of the sheet is facing where the heat transfer is going towards, then it'll resist it a lot better. But if the heat is going through this way, because the sheets can split easily, so in between the layers of fibers, that's where it's sort of the weakest. Because spray foam, it's a lot more homogeneous, and it resists, right, in any which way that the heat flows. It'll resist it pretty close to the same amount, just because it's all the structure of the foam versus with the sheets of insulation. If anybody's worked with those, you know, if you rip them, it's easily to rip them, to split them, but it's a lot harder to actually rip them sort of sideways like this by hand, right? Because the fibers are the way that they are, like the way that the sheet of insulation is built. That's pretty much the way that she goes. So she resists perpendicular flow, but then sort of vertical flow is it's not as good when you're dealing with wires like this. So a lot of people, they go for the spray foam when it comes to these rim joists right on the perimeter. You can see this is sort of a weak spot here where the framing rested. The triple 2x6, or I would say that's more like looks more like a 2x8 right there, right? So there's not much, and there's holes everywhere. So how do you insulate that corner, right? That's a big that could be a weak spot here, right in the corner too. But with regards to framing, you know, they got to do what they got to do, right? So as insulators, you try to work around that, but sometimes it's hard. You see right in the corner again. Okay, and then here too, it's pretty tough right in behind that heat duct. So hopefully that video helped, and check out my spray foam versus fiberglass video, and you'll learn a little bit more about those two products. Okay, so give a nice thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.